Hi, this is Miss Hancock.
And I'm Mason Dubicek.
So Mason, we've talked about some pretty difficult things today, and maybe some things that employers are not looking at, but I'll tell you what every business is looking at. They want to increase their sales, and they want to keep the clients that they have.
That's true.
Let's talk about that.
Offline, we have talked about quite a few other topics today, and mainly around this tool that I created called the Human Capital Calculator that allows a business owner to go in and do analysis, plug in their real numbers to find out what the costs and rewards are tied to action and inaction related to employee turnover, employee engagement, theft, workers' comp, and
they're tough subjects.
Tough subjects. So we've been talking a little bit offline, and we've got other videos to talk about those things. But this one, let's focus on the portion of the Human Capital Calculator that looks at the rewards tied to increased sales and client retention.
And very top of mind.
Because a lot of business owners get hit with, oh, we got this sales trainer, we got this management trainer, customer service training. I'm a fan of it.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff.
It's I years ago when I got out of college and became a professional, I remember talking to general managers of car dealerships, and that was what my job was, sales training, but that's neither here nor there. But anyhow, I couldn't tell you how many people were reluctant to invest in training their people because they're like, turnover's so bad that why would we bother, because they're not going to stay.
Right.
And they say, using my traditional methods, I've hired good employees. Using the same methods, I've hired people I wish I hadn't. The only thing I've learned is what I'm doing doesn't effectively help me predict success. What do you do? And my knee-jerk reaction, not to be a smart aleck, but my knee-jerk reaction was, well, what's your other alternative? Having them remain untrained and staying?
Yeah, right.
A little cliche, but I mean,
you don't want that
legit
either.
question. You don't want that either. But, and that's kind of even how I got into this business was because, I saw companies invest in lots of money in training and seeing people walk out the door because they weren't fit.
They didn't hire right the first time.
They didn't hire right the first time. And I saw an article in Southern Power Magazine, Personal Southern Power Magazine, and it had featured a study by Michigan State University School of Business on predicting success in the workplace. It said pre-employment testing was the number one predictor of future success by a 3-to-1 margin over interviews, past experience, and education. And it wasn't that hard to figure out why, because, as an interviewer, your decision only sounds facts.
Right, and you're looking at a resume and hoping that everything on that resume is correct.
And it isn't.
Right.
I saw an article in Inc. magazine, and maybe Entrepreneur said roughly 33% of resumes are embellished. And then I saw an article, I think it was Restaurants and Institutions magazine, I think it was 72 or 73% of applications are embellished. Whatever, it's over 70.
Right.
And, do the math on that, shoot right down the middle and say 50% of that information is accurate. Bigger issue is you don't know which half, but you're still expected to conduct a meaningful interview.
Exactly. And if you ask for references,
people handpick
most
the names.
people are not going to give you a reference. Go, oh my gosh, don't hire them.
Right.
Bad news.
They're going to handpick those. Drug tests are like a liquid intelligence test because it says right there, we're going to drug test you when you apply. They know to stay clean for 30 days and then they go back to their drug abuse.
Not helpful.
Background checks, which I am an advocate for. It protects companies from negligent hiring lawsuits, and it does identify high-risk candidates, but there's a whole bunch of people that it doesn't miss, and that's the people that did things they weren't supposed to but weren't caught, or weren't prosecuted successfully even though they did it. I see all the shortcomings on that, but if you can get the right people in the right seats, as Jim Collins talks about in his book, Good to Great, your chance of success is a lot better. Think about it. What's the difference? I would challenge any business owner to look at the sales performance of their top rep and their worst rep and say, how many times can you afford to pick the wrong one?
Yeah, right.
And if you're hiring and hoping,
not
a good strategy. So, what can you, I think employers need to do everything in their power to gather as much job-related information as they can about an applicant before they make a hiring decision. If not, they're agreeing to play Russian roulette without checking all the chambers of the weapon first.
There you go.
So, what's the payoff? Well, let's just say a company does $20 million in annual sales, gross, and their profit margin is 25%, and you're talking about $5 million in annual sales net. Well, what if you could just, as a business owner, what if you could just improve your sales by 15%, or improve your customer retention by 15%?
Well, wouldn't we love that?
Because a lot of times it's sales revenue is a combination of closing percentage times the number of selling opportunities. So how do you create the selling opportunities? How do you close the percentage? Yeah, but it's also customer retention plus new account acquisition.
Right.
So both sides of those things. So yes, you want good salespeople, but you also want
good customer service.
You don't have salespeople bringing in 3 new accounts in the front door if you got 4 blown out the back because they're being taken care of.
Exactly.
So how do you do that? Well, 15% of that, $750,000 a year. So the payoff's pretty good. And we're not talking about some crazy, oh, what if you doubled your sales? Like, we're just talking about what if you increase it by 15%
Yeah.
between your sales and customer retention.
Right.
And, you know, how many times have people had a bad experience? I'm never going to go back to that company again.
I just did this yesterday with the company, so.
Or people put Google reviews on like, hey, I had a bad
Yeah,
experience.
right.
The problem was they didn't have a bad experience with that company, they had a bad experience with that one person.
Exactly.
But to that upset customer or former customer,
Right.
that one person
You've lost them.
was your company.
Right.
So I can't stress the importance of getting it right the first time.
Hire right. Make sure you've got good quality people of high integrity in place in the beginning that really do want to help the clients and your, I love it.
I'm an advocate for pre-employment testing for skill, attitude, values, behavior. I want to screen for honest, reliable, drug-free employees with a work ethic. I want to screen for people salespeople who can sell. I mean,
Right.
if the job's asking them to come to work every day and be something they're not, you know, you take people like, you know, take a personality trait such as, sensitivity. If you're a salesperson, you're going to hear no.
Yeah, right.
Their customers are going to tell you
You gotta be able
no.
just to take that.
And if your sensitivity is super high and your feelings get hurt, probably not a job
the
for you.
best fit. Not the best fit. For
Right,
you, no.
and the employer loses in both of those scenarios because if the employee leaves because they're too sensitive and can't handle no, the company spent all that money training them, spent all that time and effort and energy developing them, only to have them quit. Now they got to start over.
Right.
So that's a problem. Bigger problem. What happens if the employee stays?
Yeah. Right.
Now you got someone who's unproductive that isn't going to go anywhere, and if you're going to force them to go anywhere, that requires effort and documentation and time for corrective action, and heaven forbid someone doesn't handle that properly. Now you're talking about possible lawsuits and drama associated with that. It's just not worth it.
So hire right the first time. That is available. This is available to companies now.
Yes, so I'm a huge advocate for skill, attitude, personality-based assessments to match people to the jobs and to their supervisors to minimize conflict and drama. You know, part of it's just, even if you got good employees, you got to retain them too. It's not just hiring, but you got to retain them.
Right.
If there's drama and conflict between the supervisors, or they leave, guess what?
You're out more.
Right.
All right, you've heard it here, businesses. So thank you for your time. We'll see you next time.